Have you ever found yourself in a small little town and you needed to pick up some groceries? You go to the local grocery store and it's more like a little convenience market, not some big chain name brand place. And after you arrive, and by the way, you're there to pick up groceries for unexpected guests that are coming, you're cooking for 4 tonight, and so you needed to run over and hurry up and pick up a few things. After you arrive, you find out that they don't take credit cards. And you're like, oh, okay. Go through your pockets, and all of a sudden you come up with all you got is a $10 bill. That's it. So let me tell you what I did. I decided that I was going to have to make 10 bucks work to feed 4 people for that night because I had no other choice. So here's what I did. I went up and down the aisles. I threw things together that I knew would probably make good flavor combinations. And I actually truly enjoy creating recipes. I don't enjoy creating recipes at the very last minute when we're having guests and I have no idea how the thing is going to turn out. So it was kind of a wing it kind of thing. And so I wanted to have other ideas in my back pocket. So if that ever happened again, I was a little bit more prepared. So today we're going to be talking about 3 different meals that can feed 4 adults. Each meal is under $10. And so it's extremely affordable. And here we go. For $9.85, you can feed 4 people with this Instant Pot chicken fajita pasta. Pasta is a great thing to be able to stretch a meal to feed more people very affordably. And this recipe calls for chicken tenders. Here's another way that you can save money at the grocery store. Any recipe that calls for something like chicken tenders, say, no, it costs almost double to buy tenders than it does to buy chicken breast, boneless, skinless chicken breast meat. So just get that. It's about half the price and all you need to do is slice the meat yourself. Another way to save money at the grocery store is to just buy store brand stuff. I love store brand stuff. I think years ago it was more like a lower quality stuff, but today I don't think that's the case. I think it's just as good of quality in most items as the big name brand stuff. So I always check prices. Every once in a while I'll find that a big brand is actually cheaper than a store brand if it happens to be on sale. But for the most part, the store brand is usually great quality and quite a bit less expensive than the big brands. The other thing that you can do to save money on the same grocery item is to buy things that are in larger quantities. So instead of buying a small box of pasta, buy the bigger one. As long as it is shelf stable and you've got room for it and you actually will use it, you will spend a lot less money per ounce when you buy in larger quantities. So obviously, if you end up throwing things away that you aren't going to use because the food went bad before you could get around to eating the entire box of whatever the thing is, then that's a different story. The most expensive food you can buy is the food that you never eat and you just throw away because it went bad before you got around to it. My second recipe costs only $9.90, and guess what? It doesn't just feed 4 people, it actually feeds 6. And it's campfire goulash. I have a little bit of a problem when I'm cooking in my household, and that's that Pete really likes spicy food. After he got COVID, though, a couple years ago, his tolerances are a little bit lower than what they used to be for how spicy something needed to be before he thought it was actually hot. But my point here is that you can adjust heat in almost any recipe. So even though I'm calling for a hot Italian sausage, if your family doesn't like anything that's got a little bit of spice, a little bit of kick to it, just use mild, that's just fine. In addition, this recipe calls for great northern beans. And those are really great. I love using beans in recipes that are budget friendly because not only are they a good source of protein, they're a good source of fiber, and all of that stuff kind of fills up your belly in a really nice, warm, cozy way. And you will not be lacking for any kind of flavor just because you're putting beans into the pot. They're a great option to get some really good nutrition into your meals and do it affordably. The other thing I really like to do is to shop for pantry staples when they are on sale. I know that buying in bulk and buying ahead is not always a great option when you are in an RV with limited storage space, but if you do have enough space, then I would recommend shopping for all your pantry staples when they are on sale and stock up as much as possible, because as long as you're going to actually use that stuff, it is a really good thing to buy it ahead so you get the best price on it and it's available whenever you want to throw a meal together. If you are ever short on cold storage space, don't worry about it. Just go for making recipes out of just shelf-stable ingredients. I have an entire video that features just those kinds of recipes. I'll leave a link for that video in the description below. Another way to reduce the cost of your grocery bills is any recipe that calls for stock, just substitute broth. Now, you won't get as intense of a flavor from broth as you do stock, but it's a really good substitute and it can be about half the price. The other thing I really like to do is if I'm using broth and stock in recipes, which I do quite a bit, I actually try not to buy just like one small can of stock or broth. I'd rather buy the bigger 32-ounce carton and then just pour out what I need for each recipe. Per ounce, it's a lot cheaper to buy those boxes as long as you have room in your refrigerator. You just close it up, store it in your refrigerator, and it's ready for your next use. My third recipe costs $9.70 and it feeds 4 people. It's Dutch oven Mexican chicken. This recipe combines chicken and rice together in one pot. I really like using rice as another one of those starches that can actually stretch a protein. So you're actually cooking the main course, the chicken, the protein, and the rice all in one pot. Rice is another really great staple when you want to have something in your pantry that can stretch a meal. If you want to add a really cheap side dish to any Mexican meal, just open a can of refried beans and heat them up on your stovetop. I hope these recipes inspire you to get creative with your meals so that you can balance your budget as we continue our countdown to Christmas. If you've missed any of the videos in my VLOGMAS series, don't worry, I've got you covered. I've got everything all in one playlist. I will leave a link for that in the description below, and I will see you tomorrow.